So welcome to our transition from the first 10 chapters of Healing America's Narratives, where we really presented some discomforting news, some histories that show us that we need to do some healing. And we're going to transition into chapter 11, which begins to show us some of the things we might be able to do individually and collectively in order to heal. But first, just really quickly, so what we looked at in the previous 90 some odd conversations or episodes so far were our cultural givens, how important it is for each one of us to know where we came from, remembering Rabbi Gelman's heart-rendering quote at the September 23rd, 2001 memorial service at Yankee Stadium, where he just said, we don't talk about big numbers. It's not 6,000 people died or 6 million people died, but it's one person died 6,000 times or 6 million times, or 10 times if it happens to be the most recent mass shooting. So we're remembering, as we speak about history, the importance of one life at a time. We spoke about what shadow is and isn't. I'm not going to refresh that right now. Just want to review where we've been. Chapter 3 of the book dealt with the history of women, the fear of the feminine and the subjugation of women. Chapter 4 was entitled Trails of Tears and Broken Treaties, which basically gave us a brief history of Native Americans in this country and before this country. Chapter 5 was the history of African Americans, slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights. Chapter 6 was a brief history of the Vietnam War, dominoes, defoliation, death, and democracy. Chapter 7, lessons not learned, the histories of the wars on terror in Afghanistan and Iraq. Chapter 8, a real brief overview of many histories and issues that didn't get their own chapter in this book. It included everything from climate change and global warming to all of the others being othered, be they Asian or Latino, or people being othered because of their sexual orientation or identities, our culture of violence, the lack of health and caring, generally speaking, in the United States for the average American, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In chapter 9, we take a look at the woke and cancel cultures here, and it's actually entitled Bullied, Woke, and Canceled in the Polarized States of America. And we see that even though the language wasn't in place, woke culture and cancel culture, the practices of feeling more woke than others and therefore trying to cancel them have been in play in this country throughout our history and even before the United States was founded as a country. So we took a look at that. And then chapter 10, the most recent one, which we summarized in the last episode, was the gift, what I consider both a gift and a threat that Donald Trump's popularity, the 45th president of the United States, has invited our collective shadow to the surface. We can see it in him and in many other people, in all of us, really. It's not, the problem with shadow is we say, oh, it's those people. All of us are part of the national shadow in our respective ways, and we need to recognize, own, and begin to do the work of integrating that shadow. That's a real brief summary. We'll be taking a look in chapter 11 at how we might go about navigating, healing our narratives, and owning and integrating our shadow. So again, thank you for staying with me through these episodes.